Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to take a look at the Nasdaq 100 today, the NDX and the Qs, the QQQ, the ETF. We're going to take a look at the semiconductors because they have really been hit hard. And I'm going to compare and look at between the SOX index and the SMH ETF. They both were down pretty big this last week. Matter of fact, of my 16 sectors I look at every Saturday morning, 15 out of 16 were down, and a lot of them were down to a very large percentage. We're going to take a look at checking in the high yield bond fund, and then take a quick look at the Magnificent Seven and a snapshot of all seven. Okay, NDX down 509 on Friday. Big move down 1153 on the week. So the move that happened on Friday, the range in here was about 530 points, 529.8. Tuesday was the first day of trading this week, 568.3. So Tuesday's range was slightly bigger than Friday, but they were both hard down in terms of what was going on in here. Let's take a look at the Qs. It's going to be the same kind of picture. The Qs were down 1235 and on the weekly down 2758. Now, here's where I've got the Elliott Wave count that I'm looking at. Let's just go to the weekly first. So, yeah, I'm going to make this visible for less than a week. Okay. So right now, my preferred count says that I think we're coming down. We're coming down hard. It looks like a C wave of a zigzag, of an ABC zigzag. I just don't think this fourth wave, corrective wave, is over yet. My target for the C wave is in the 405 to 436 zone, okay? And so the key is going to be, as you can see the divergence that showed up big time on the weekly in here with the last fifth wave of the third minor wave up, okay? So the key is going to be we have to see clear five waves moving down here in the C wave. Right now, it looks to me like we are in the third wave of wave C, third of five. So it's not done yet. And then we'll get a little fourth wave and then finish off with a fifth wave move. So again, 405 to 436 is what I'm looking at for the range. I've got this right in the middle of it. So we'll see where that goes and how that plays out here over the next week or two. All right, I want to take a look at the semiconductors. Okay, so I've got a tab down here, semis, where I've got the Philly SOX index, semiconductor index, right next to the SMH. Okay, SMH, both of these are popular. I think SMH might be a little more popular. Let's take a look at this. So number one, the closing weekly high was up 56.9% year to date in mid-July, okay, from the close on at the end of 2023 of 174.87. It was up 57%. And right now, it's up 22.9%. It's given all that back, as you can see, and here's the difference between the close and the year-end close, okay? This last week, down 11.7%. Now, it's interesting when you look at the SOX index, it was down almost identical percentage-wise, down 11.8%. It is only up year-to-date 6.2% versus 22.9%. Now, the big difference is what they're putting in the holdings and in the percentage of the holdings. When you look at SMH, NVIDIA is clearly the number one, but it's rated 20.65%. It's only rated 8.8% over here in the SOX index. They're much more distributed in terms of the percentage holdings out here. The top three account for about 26%. The top three account for 42.5%. And you could see NVIDIA, Taiwan Semiconductor, and Broadcom, okay? And over here in the SOX, Broadcom is the number one holding, slightly higher than NVIDIA. And then you've got AMD instead of TSM. So kind of interesting. I mean, they're both in terms of the pattern, they both look similar to me. It's going to be interesting to see how much further is it going to mirror what I just talked about with the Qs and coming down here and finishing off a zigzag, or is there going to be something deeper, bigger going on? I'm going to still lean into the zigzag scenario, okay, and stick with the count that I've got on the NDX and the Qs. So the other thing is when you look at this, you look at both of them, you kind of look at it and say, well, it could be a head and shoulders. Where I'll tell you the one thing that jumps out at me that makes me think that it's not just from traditional components of what I look for on a head and shoulders chart pattern. The volume doesn't seem to match. Yeah, there's volume, high volume on the left shoulder, but where's the volume on the head? And then there's volume on coming in here. Well, that's the downdraft. Not much volume on the peak. Of course, there's really only, 3 weeks in here? Just 3 weeks, a little bit of volume. So I just, typically I would like to see more pronounced of high volume, less volume, but still high, and even less over here on the head. Same thing over here. I'm just not getting that picture. So that just reinforces to me. I'm looking for this to continue to pull back. It's getting oversold. It's not on a weekly. It's not oversold on a weekly basis. But I think we're going to have more to go. Maybe another week, 2. We'll see. Okay, so that's where we sit with that. Let's take a look at, we'll go back to the home page. Let's take a look at the high yield bond fund. Now this is really interesting. I want to go here to this traditional view that I have. Now, look what this did on Friday, down 10 cents. For the week, down 20 cents. But the real interesting thing is this zone above where we are, okay? If you go back on a weekly and you see where resistance came in back here in May of 22 and in August of 22, to me, that kind of creates a little resistance zone. And look what we're bumping up against. We're bumping up against the bottom of it over the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, and then the prior week, and then here's this last week. Okay, kind of came down some. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see, does this create a whole lot of supply and become a strong resistance? Or does HYG, push through the zone and close above it in a pure risk-on mode? We'll see. Right now, this is looking pretty strong. We'll see what happens here. This hasn't, we started to close a couple of days below the 10-day moving average. Then we bounce back above it again. So for this to truly be repelled and come on back down, we're going to need to see this flip back below the 10 and flip over and head south. So we'll see what happens. But that's kind of an interesting setup here on HYG. Okay, let's take a look at the Magnificent Seven. All right, here's all 7 of them. Apple continues to trend. Now, the moving averages I've got on the screen on all 7 of these, I've got the 21 simple and the 55 simple because I like the Fibonacci numbers, okay? So these compare to the 2050 that people use. So right now, Apple continues to trend. They got their big day. I think it's Monday. I think it's tomorrow or Monday, the 9th, I think. Yeah, they're going to talk about their new phones and a couple other things. Amazon, clearly in a downtrend. Alphabet, clearly in a downtrend. Pretty hard down. Meta really has just been cycling sideways. But you'd have to say the short-term trend's kind of up, although we had a pretty strong day down on Friday, down 15.59. Microsoft, downtrend. Nvidia, downtrend, bounce back above. Now we're back south again. We'll see. Is we're going to start doing oscillating back and forth, or we're going to continue to head south in here. Tesla looks like it may be trying to flip over to the downside, down big on Friday, down 1944. So this is going to be interesting to see. And it looks like it closed below the 21 day in here. Yeah, let's see, 212.06. Yes, it did. closed at 211.50. No, I mean 210.73. That's the aftermarket, I believe. Okay, that's the picture here. So we've got just two that kind of look like they're in uptrends. NVIDIA, I think maybe, we got more to go with the semis, what's happening with the overall with the semis. So we'll see where these go over the next several weeks here with the month of September, which is historically the worst month for the stock market. All right, everyone, if you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, hit that little subscriber button. And everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.